कुलपतेर् वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीवमुपास्महे। स्वतः सिद्धं शुद्धस्फटिकमणिभूभृत्प्रतिभटं सुधासध्रीचीभिर्द्युतिभिरवदात त्रिभुवनम् अनन्तैस्त्रय्यन्तैरनुविहितहेषाहलहलं हताशेषावद्यं हयवदनम् ईडीमहिमः समाहारः साम्नां प्रतिपदं रुचां धाम यजुषां लयः प्रत्यूहानां लहरिविततिर्बोधजलधेः कथादर्पक्षुभ्यत्कथककुलकोलाहलभवं हरतु अन्तर्ध्वान्तं हयवदनहेषाहलहलः। Namassадase, Namassabhayai. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma Shriyapati, in this very premises, which for over 120 years has been the citadel of learning for so many students who have become the who's who of the world. And to this very days, which has been adorned with the presence of so much across different languages, speaking about the greatness of the scriptures that are associated with Sanatana Dharma. Many Vidwans and Vidushis who have rendered Bhakti Sangeetam from this days, in that premises, on that days, today the topic that has been chosen, which I am told by Sridhar Subhashmiji and their Astika team, that Hayagriva as a topic is being explored for the first time today. Not that Hayagriva has never had a reference, but as a topic. So, Hayagriva Upasmahe, like a tagline that needs to be a part of every product in the Kotler's book of marketing. I was asked to give a tagline to Hayagriva. Hayagriva must be facing such new challenges in 2026. So the tagline was, let it come from the horse's mouth. So, of course, the connotation that is associated with let it come from the horse's mouth is different. For a minute, let's believe 200 years back, somebody was speaking about Hayagriva on this very stage, and Robert Clive of Mountbatten listened to it and incorporated that into the English language and made Hayagriva the horse and his Vadanam and Bhaktram as the mouth, and then made it as Anglic as possible, let it come from the horse's mouth. That said, we are going to relish, cherish, internalize and listen to the greatness of Hayagriva as expounded by our Itihasas and the Puranas, coupled with the works that have been given by the Alvars and the Acharyas. So it's going to be a beautiful medley. For that, I need to develop the storyline, like the director of Dhurandhar, like the curious case of Benjamin Button. So that's how I have to develop. So how do we begin? Let's time travel to a period where the sons of Vishravas was a rishi who was the son of yet another great Maharishi called Pulastya. Pulastya's son was Vishravas, and Vishravas, of his many marriages, one marriage was with a Rakshasi called Kaikashi. Through Kaikashi, Vishravas fathered 3 sons. The last of the 3 was super devout. His name was Vibhishana. The first of the 3 was notorious to the core, called Ravana. Between Ravana and Vibhishana, there was another He was the sandwiching portion between the two. His name was Kumbhakarna. So in the Uttarakanda Bhagam of Valmiki Ramayana, Rama listens to the history of Ravana and his brothers. Janishe hi yatha lokan strasayatyesha durmatihi Nandane sarasa saptaha mahendra anuchara dasha Anena bhakshita brahman rishayo manusham sthata. This is Valmiki Ramayana shlokam. The Devas end up complaining to Brahma. They go and complain to Brahma. What is the complaint? They say, Anena bhakshita brahman. There is one Raja, Rakshasa Raja called Ravana, who eats human flesh. Ravana was one level above non-vegetarian. He was not having goat and hen. He was having humans. Anena bhakshita brahman. Who all has he had? They say, Nandane apsarasaha saptaha. While he was walking, people all walk in gardens. What did he do while walking? He ate away 7 apsarastris. Apsarasaha saptaha. He is not a person who is meant for a civilized society, Brahma. Brahma asked, why are you telling me all this about Ravana? Did I ask about Ravana? Alabdhavara purnena. That man has another brother as good as him called Kumbhakarna. Brahma asked, why about Kumbhakarna now? Alabdhavara purnena. That Kumbhakarna along with his older brother is performing austerities, tapasya towards you, Brahma. Rakshasena tu yadyeshavara labdhaha syad bhakshet bhuvanatrayam varavyajena mohosmai diyatamati mitamaprabha. His objective is to obtain boons, impress upon you, obtain boons that will make him unassailable and unparalleled. Brahma said, what should I do now? The rule says if he performs austerities to me, I have to appear and give him boons. Kya karu? Bolo. That is when they said, Eva mukta surair brahma chintayat padma sambhavaha. The Deva said, to let you know of the problem is our duty. Finding the solution is yours. You find a solution. That is when Brahma thought for some time and said, I have a solution at home. He spoke to his Dharmapatni Saraswati. He said, Saraswati, I have one big project coming your way. She said, I have been on bench for some time. I will welcome any project that comes my way. What is that project? Prajapatim stutam praptam prahavakyam saraswatim vanim tvam rakshasendrasya bhavavag devatepsita tathetyuktva pravishta sa prajapatiratha bravit. It is known to the world, Vani, that you sit in the tongues of humans. For a moment, make some disturbance to the seat that you sit on in Kumbhakarna's tongue. Some little disturbance. In the middle of the night, the floor above us, they will be dragging a chair. Have you heard that noise? Exactly at 12, when you're about to sleep, they will drag. Do something like that, Vani. Kuch karo. Now Kumbhakarna has to ask Brahma for the boon because Brahma has given the task to Saraswati. Kumbhakarna mahabaho varam varayayo mataha. Kumbhakarna. You know all these cliched dialogues. We have seen so many movies from 1950. Kumbhakarna. Brahma, I am super impressed with your austerities. Jo chaho pucho. That is when Kumbhakarna Mahabaho Varam Varaya, ask whatever you want. Kumbhakarna Stutadvakyam Shrutva Vachanam Abravit. Kumbhakarna had to ask a boon. Saraswati made a slight disturbance on his tongue. Swaptum varshanyanekani. He said, I should be sleeping for many years. Brahma said, Tathastu, you will attend many discourses. Swaptum varshanyanekani deva deva mamepsitam. Kumbhakarna said, now that you have granted me the boon that I will be sleeping for years together, will someone remember me for this trait? See, generally when you praise, what will you say? This man plays cricket, that man plays tennis, she dances, he sings. Will you end up praising Romananna Tungu Arnave? Will you praise? Kumbhakarna said, Brahmaji, Mera kaun prashansa karega? Ab boliye Brahmaji. So Brahmaji said, there will be one Ji called Andalji. She will come in Tamil Nadu. She will invoke your name. Pandorunal kutrattin vaai vilda Kumbhakarnanum thotrum unake perunthuyildan tandano. When Andal, the mystic poetess, has to walk the streets of Srivilliputturu, invoking the grace of Krishna so that she could eventually marry him by observing the vrata called Pavai Nombu by singing Tirupavai, stands outside the house of a girl whom she wants to wake up so that she could also join her vratam. The girl doesn't seem to respond. Andal at that point in time says, oh girl who's living in the hamlet of Srivilliputturu, despite my warnings and despite my calls, you don't seem to get up from your bed and walk towards me. Maybe I feel Kumbhakarna, who was given the boon of incessant sleep, is still not dead by saying within you, Pandorunal kutrattin vaai vilda Kumbhakarnanum thotrumunake peruntuyildan tandano. So Saraswati was responsible for changing the varam of Kumbhakarna. What else did Saraswati do? Vedanta Deshika says, how was Saraswati's childhood? See, generally when you see someone very successful in their art, imagine there is a great musician. You will end up interviewing their parents. In the childhood, what did you give him? Complan or boost? How is he singing so well? You want to know their routine regime. Do they breathe in and breathe out? Do they sleep like other human beings? How are they able to sing so well? You will always interview. So when Saraswati had this unique ability to even end up changing the varam that Kumbhakarna had to ask, people interviewed her parents and asked, Saraswati ji ko apne kya diya? Triptin diye kya? Kya hai? What is that protein shake? What did you give? Vedanta Deshika says, she was smart since birth. She was an innovator at birth. She had a startup at birth. What was that startup? It was a language called Prakritam. Even in her childhood, wearing a beautiful pavadai, she used to run here and there, and her prattling became a language called Prakritam. Who says this? Vedanta Deshika. In which language? Prakritam. Kinkara Satchatu Ituha Suyambu Gehini Vilasavahitamayi Paniya Balenamaye Panjara Suya Jappiyamba Kunaya Pasayam. This is Prakritam. So what he says is, when Brahma's wife Saraswati at a very young age prattled, her prattling became a language. See, all your Jain scriptures that we have in Bharatadesha, most of it will be in Prakritam. If you look at Sanskrit dramas like Abhigyana Shakuntalam, Vikramurvashiyam, Malavikaagnimitram, or Veni Samharam by Bhattanarayana, or Abhisheka Natakam, Pratikma Natakam by Bhasa, all the plays, when female characters speak, they will not speak in Sanskritam, they will speak in Prakritam. So Prakritam is a language which is so sweet to the tongue, and that was rather introduced by Saraswati. So Saraswati, who later changed Kumbhakarna's varam, even in her childhood was so talented. So the first $1 million question is, it is 94 rupees today? $1 million. So how many you can multiply? First $1 million question, Saraswati ko ye jnaan kahan se mila? इसका उत्तर 735 को सुनिए. First. Second, this Saraswati is very influential. How when Bhagavan became Vamana,
When Vamana had to go to the Yajnavatika of Bali for asking boons, it seems she sat even on Vamana's tongue. So Matsya Purana says, Satyam Satyabha Vajadvacha Saraswati Cha Jihvika. Vamana Purana says, Jihva Saraswati Tasya. Brahma Purana says, Satyam Satyabhavad Vani Saraswati Cha Mukhashruta. So when Vamana went to Bali's Yajnavatika, Saraswati sat on his tongue. When Kumbhakarna was supposed to ask a dreadful boon, she sat on his tongue. When Saraswati was a young girl, she came up with a language called Prakritam. Saraswati is the one who gave Akshamala to Vamana when he underwent Upanayanam, says Bhagavatam. Akshamala Maharaja Saraswatyabhyayatmanaha. So Saraswati is that great, sir. Okay. This is part A. See, when you do a big dish, in Mumbai while I was there, my friend was a Gujarati friend. She used to bring one dish. I was introduced to that dish that time. From that time onwards, I became a fan of that dish. It is called Undiyo. It has got 27 ingredients. So I went and asked her family member, how did you make it? She gave me a lecture for 2 hours. So I said, I'll better consume what you have given. I'm not planning to make it. So what you have to do in that dish is you will have to prepare a lot of things and keep. So now my first level of preparation is done. Preparation 1, ingredient 1 is Saraswati, over. Now we are going to the second episode of this OTT series, Hayagriva. What is it? You have to think of a beautiful Vata Vriksham. Under the shade of a Vata Vriksham is Shiva, Mahadeva, with the complexion of molten gold, with Jata over him, with a crescent moon above, and with one leg folded, the other leg extended, with 4 rishis at his feet. Who is he? Very good, Dakshinamurti. Akshaya Suvarna Vata Vriksha Mula Sthite Rakshamam Sanakadi Raja Yogi Stute Dakshina Murte. So Shiva is seated, serene atmosphere. So this is Shiva as Dakshinamurti. He faces the southern direction. That is why he is called Dakshinamurti. In any Shiva's temple, when you do the Pradakshina facing the south, there will be a Dakshinamurti. Now there are varieties of Dakshinamurti. Veena Dakshinamurti, Ekapada Dakshinamurti, lots of varieties in Dakshinamurti. But this is Dakshinamurti. So this is Shiva. Have Vaishnava saints sung about Shiva? Yes. One of the Alvars of the 7th century called Tirumalizai Alvar or Tirumalizai Piran, called in the Samskrita tradition as Bhakti Sara, says in one Pasuram. Like how you were all patient listening to Sanskritam and Telugu, you should also listen to Tamil. We have to. When you are attending my lecture, it is Mile Sur Mera Tumhara. ஆல நிழற்கீழ் அறநெறியை நால்வர்க்கு மேலையுகத்துரைத்தான் மெய்தவத்தோன் ஞாலமளந்தானை ஆழிக்கிடந்தானை ஆள்மேல் வளர்ந்தானை தான் வணங்குமாறு. ஆல நிழற்கீழ், under the shade of a banyan tree. ஆல நிழற்கீழ். Araneriai, the one who gave Upadesha of the highest quintessential knowledge. To whom? Nalvarku, to 4 Maharishis, Agastya, Pulastya, Vasishtha and Sanaka. Mele Yugatturaittan, in the previous Yuga, who did this? Shiva is Dakshinamurti. Who is he? Mei Tavatton, the commentator Periyavachan Pillai says, why should I say him Mei Tavatton, the one who's good in tapasya? Because looking at Shiva doing that meditation and tapasya, people in this world will be inspired. They are our true heroes. So when you look at Shiva being Dakshinamurti, he becomes your inspiration. What does he meditate upon? Three things the Alvar says. Nyalam Alandanai, the one who measured the worlds, is being meditated by him. Ali Kidandanai, the one who sleeps on the ocean of milk. All male Valarndanai. Towards the end of Bhagavatam, you will know this charitram called Vatapatrashai, where Markandeya Maharshi goes in search. Finally, in the deluge waters, he sees a beautiful leaf upon which is a little child taking to its toe and sucking it. Since I'm talking about this little boy sucking it, I'm sure mothers will know there is one stage in your own child's life where you will wait for this moment. Every child will suck, like how this boy did. And who is this boy? Markandeya Maharishi wanted to know. Sambhal ke, you will fall. Who are you? That is when the boy sucked his toe. Markandeya did not understand. He said, this is not hygienic, my little boy. Say who you are. Then the boy showed his chest, says Mahabharata. He saw Mahalakshmi. Ye Mr. Vishnu hai. So he understood this is Narayana. Who took a photo of this Vatapatrashai? Gokul Santon. Have you seen that powder box? They took. That time they were there next to Markandeya. They took one photo and gave. Kararavindena padaravindam Mukharavinde viniveshayantam Vatasya patrasya puteshayanam Balamukundam manasasmarami. Vatapatrashai. So he is called as the one who rolled on a banyan leaf. Vatapatrashai. In Tamil, Vata is all. So he says all male Valarndanai. So Shiva, Mahadeva, with one leg folded, the other leg extended, under the shade of a banyan tree, while doing tapasya and also giving upadesham to 4 great Maharishis, he is meditating on the greatness of Vamana who measured the worlds, on the greatness of Narayana who reclined on the oceanic waters, on the greatness of Narayana as Krishna, as Vatapatrashai on the banyan leaf. ஞாலமளந்தானை ஆழி கிடந்தானை ஆல்மேல் வளர்ந்தானை தான் வணங்குமாறு. So Dakshinamurti is the source of knowledge. So he is so intelligent. Where did he get his knowledge from? Section B. Section A is where did Saraswati get her inspiration. Second is where did Dakshinamurti get. Now the third, we are going to go to Mahabharata's Upodghatam starting. Now Vyasacharya had to compose and compile the shlokas of Bharata. So as it happened, he had to tell. But he had to tell it in a format which is easily palatable and enjoyable to us, which is poetry. For poetic beauty, you need to think and produce. For good poetry, you have to always think. Kannum kannum nokia. நீ கொள்ளை கொள்ளும் மாஃபியா cappuccino coffee Sophia. Why should you think for this poetry? You just imagine you have put all the words rhyming. Coffee, Sophia, Sonia, ellam pottachu. You just have to add. You cannot explain this verse. Kollai kollum mafia, Nokia, Motorola. What is this? So for good poetry, you have to think. For this poem, you don't have to. Even I can write such verses. So Vyasacharya had to internalize and think. For that, he wanted a very good scribe. So he had an online poll on Twitter. He asked, who is adept enough to be my scribe? Everybody unanimously said Ganesha. Why is he so great? He is accessible. In every street corner, he's there. You will call, he'll come. Whereas if you call Kartikeya, he has to come from Tiruparangudram after lighting the lamp. Whereas Ganesha can come at any point in time, right? So Ganesha had to come and be the scribe. As Vyasa says, Ganesha has to write. The shloka is Lekhako bharatasya bhavatvam gananayaka Mayaiva prochyamanasya manasa kalpitasya cha. Vyasacharya told Ganesha, as I think and compose and produce, you have to write. He thought Ganesha will say, theek hai, emoticon, good, done. He didn't do that. Ganesha said, Shutvaivat praha vignesho yadi me lekhani kshanam likhito navatishtheta tadasyam lekhako hyaham. I will keep writing. You should not stop anywhere. If you stop, I will stop. I should not stop my pen anywhere. I should keep on writing. For which Vyasa has to keep on thinking, he has to keep on composing, he has to keep on repeating, and he has to keep on telling, uttering, and he will write. Not, see, 1,25,000 verses, he says, do it without a gap. So Vyasacharya was in a fixed catch-22 situation. Kya karu? He laid one condition. He said, Vyasopyuvachatam devam abudhva mam likhat kvachit. I will tell, but you should not write until you have understood what you have written. This is another problem. When the chemistry teacher says Mendeleev's table, we will write down Fe, lanthanides, actinides, but we don't know what is the difference between atomic number and atomic weight. We will keep writing because we know this is a 5-mark question. If we came in O4 plus H2, 8 H2 SO4 is equal to 8 H2 SO4, we will by heart. Even that balancing of the equation, we will by heart and go. So, our knowledge is largely, you try to understand, if you don't understand, by heart. Mr. OCP, call metaris, orcinol, paraquinol, orthoquinol, catechol. You just have to write. Don't worry about whether you understand. But Vyasa said you have to understand and then write. Why did Vyasa do that? Because in the Mahabharata, there is a belief, 999 shlokas Vyasa will tell. The 1000th verse, Vyasa will make it a prahelika, which is a riddle. Now Ganesha will be thinking, ye kya hai? Because he will not write until he understands the 1000th shloka. 999 Vyasa uttered, 999 Ganesha has written. The 1000th verse Vyasa has uttered, 1000th verse Ganesha has not written, he has been thinking. In that due course of time that Ganesha thinks about the shloka and processes it, Vyasa would have thought about the next 999 shlokas. So, every 1000th shloka will be a riddle in the Mahabharata. It is an art how our acharyas have deciphered which that shloka is. It is an art. So, Ganesha and Vyasa had this beautiful exchange. That is how you have Mahabharata. Vyasacharya thereby compiled 1,25,000 verses of Mahabharata, compiled the 18 Puranas, wrote away the Brahma Sutras. What a magnum opus, what a person he is, which his father praises him. Parashara says, Krishnadvaipayanam Vyasam Vidhinarayanam Prabhum Kohyanyo Bhuvi Maitreya Mahabharata Kritbhaven. Who but my son Vyasa cannot do all this? So he has received praise from his own father. So is it a great thing? Parents, Shastram says, never praise your children. Today the entire world runs on praise. If the child breathes, எப்படி மூச்சு விடுறான் பாருங்களேன். ஒரு மூக்கால வாங்கி இன்னொரு மூக்கால விடுறான். இதெல்லாம் சாதாரணமா பண்ற காரியமா? அசாத்திய சாதகம் சுவாமி. எப்பேற்பட்ட பிள்ளைய பெற்று வச்சிருக்கேன்னா 9 மாசமா 10 வருஷமா கர்ப்பமான்னு தெரியல. எப்படி மூச்சு விடுறான் பாருங்களேன். 7வது தோசை சாப்பிட்றான்னா யாராவது முடியுமா அப்படின்னா இது என்னத்தை சொல்ல. So we are living in a world, because see, at the end of the day most families have become Advaita or Dvaita, one child or 2 children, right? So now the parents are forced to accept however the child is. அது அஷடாவே இருந்தாலும் ஐயோ என்னை விட்டுட்டு போயிட்டுனா என்ன பண்றது? So you have to keep praising. But I'm sure one section of the Astikas here who are older enough to understand that in your families, when you had large families, parents will never praise their children. நன்னாவே பண்ண என்ன இது பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கேன். It is not about demotivating. That is what Shastram says. Shastram says parents should never praise. It doesn't mean the child shouldn't receive the praise. He can receive from Pankajam Mami living across the street, but not Mother Pankajam. Street mommy Pankajam or Vadam Gudukra mommy Pankajam. Mother and father should not praise. But here, contrary to the Shastric injunction, Parashara praises his son Vyasa. So Vyasa's greatness is so much. So the third $1 million question, where did Vyasacharya receive this knowledge from? So part A, first part, where did Saraswati receive the knowledge from? Part B, where did Dakshinamurti receive the knowledge from? Part C, where did Vyasacharya receive this knowledge from? All this is being answered in one shloka. Vedanta Deshika writes it. Part A, for us it was part B, now you can take it as part A. Dakshinyaramya Girishasya Murtihi, that great form of Shiva who is seated in the southern direction. Dakshinyaramya Girishasya Murtihi, seated atop, the one who belongs to the mountains, who is seated under the shade of a banyan tree in a beautiful form with one leg folded, the other leg extended, facing the southern direction. Dakshinyaramya Girishasya Murtihi. Part A, Part B, Devi Saroja Asana Dharmapatni. Saroja is lotus, Asana is seat, Saroja Asana is Brahma, his wife. Devi Saroja Asana Dharmapatni Saraswati. Where did she receive that knowledge from? Vyasadayopi Vyapadeshya Vachaha. Vyasa, etc. What does that etc. mean? Valmiki, who has given the Ramayana, Vyasacharya, who has given the Mahabharata, his father Parashara, who has given the Vishnu Purana, they all Vyasadayopi Vyapadeshya Vachaha, they have all revealed the quintessential knowledge. Where did they get the knowledge from? Part A, Part B, Part C, Spuranti Sarve Tava Shakti Leshaihi, from the great speck of grace of Hayagriva. So Hayagriva has supplied knowledge. See, what is our Nitya Karma? What is our Nitya Karma? Take the mobile phone and put it on charge. Correct? Our Nitya Karma may not be Sandhya Vandanam. It is charging your phone. See, when you go back home, whether you eat or not, whether you drink water or not, whether you take medicines or not, Nitya Karma, you have to charge your phone. Charge your AirPods, charge your laptop, charge your smartwatch, the Fitbit, the 10,000 steps. All that we have to charge. So, Dakshinamurti, Vyasa, and Saraswati have to obtain charge from someone. So Hayagriva is the charger. He gives them that energy. 33 minutes introduction over. See, you should always give a build up to the hero. So this hero is so great. Now who is this Hayagriva? I'm going to tell you another, I don't know, shocking or surprising. There was an Asura called Hayagriva. Have you heard of it? So that I will. Srimad Bhagavatam and its Saram by Narayana Bhattatri called Sriman Narayaniyam mentions of it. I will recite that verse of Narayaniyam. Pura Hayagriva Mahasurena Shashtantarantodhyada Kandakalpe Nidronmukha Brahma Mukhat Hriteshu Vedeshvaditsaha Kila Matsya Rupam Pura. What is Pura? We know, sir, Vellai Pura. Ondru. Pura means long back. In Sanskritam, Pura means long back. So he says Pura. This is Narayaniyam Shloka. Hayagriva Maha Asurena. Sir, just now you said Hayagriva gives energy to Dakshinamurti, to Vyasa and Saraswati. You said Hayagriva is the Sakshat Murti of Narayana. Suddenly you have taken us to another plane where you are saying Hayagriva is an Asura. How do we reconcile? You don't have to reconcile. See, Bhagavan has so many names. His names are kept by all of us. Some of us will be Devas, some of us will be Asuras. Likewise, Hayagriva is a name of Narayana. This Asura's mother thought her son will be like Hayagriva, but he had the name Hayagriva but went anti-Hayagriva. Hayagriva Mahasurena. When was this Asura born? Shashtantaranta Udyat. When the 6th Manvantara was getting over, he was born. Akandakalpe, when there was pralayam all around. Pralayam, there was always deluge. Nidra Unmukha Brahma Mukha. See, there is one Shastra Vakyam, I've told this in my lectures. In Shastram, it is believed that when a person is speaking on the nuances of our scriptures and the other one is listening, in the due course of listening, this is what the Shastram says, if you yawn, whatever you have listened till then will dissipate, will go away from you. Be careful. See, you have spent so much time. Why do you want to yawn? Now you may ask, is there a research paper to prove it? No. You yawn and see, that's all. Then you go back home and try to recollect, you may not be able to do. Nidra Unmukha Brahma Mukha. Brahma, after creation and dissolution, yawned. Brahma will also feel tired. He yawned. Hriteshu Vedeshu. That time the knowledge which was within him as Vedas was stolen by this Asura called Hayagriva. Adhitsaha Kila. That time Brahma started crying, "Hey, mera book chala gaya. See, now things have slightly improved or changed. I don't know whether to use the word improved, changed. Till about 22 years back, when I used to travel to my grandparents' place, my parents used to leave me in the station. But one instruction, if someone gives biscuits, don't eat. Have you heard of that? There will be one instruction in the IRCTC. In Chennai, it will say, யாராவது உங்களுக்கு பிஸ்கெட் கிட்செட் கொடுத்தால் சாப்பிட வேண்டாம் என்று உங்களுடைய ரயில்வேஸ் விண்ணப்பிக்கிறது. So, once what happened, that was my first journey. My grandmother, she had to send me back. She took that chain. Below our seat, there will be a place to keep our luggage. And there will be one small ring to put that chain. She tied my hand with the luggage. So if the person takes that luggage, he will get me also as an additional offer. So Brahma that day forgot to put that chain. He yawned. Hayagriva Asura took it away. Now he started crying, my luggage, my knowledge is lost. That is when Bhagavan appeared as the fish. Matsya Rupam, Kila Matsya Rupam, says Bhattatri Narayaniyam. So as a fish with a single horn, it was a unicorn based fish. It's called Nomura. That's the scientific biological nomenclature. So there he went chasing the Asura. Bhattatri says, Kalpavadhau Saptamunin Purovat Prasthapya Satyavrata Bhumipam Tam Vaivasvatakhyam Manumadadhanaha Krodhat Hayagrivam Abhidruto Bhu. Kalpa Avadhau, towards the end of that Kalpam, Saptamuni, because the 7 sages had to be protected. So the fish had a horn, to the horn was tied a rope, a noose, to the noose was a large boat. Within the large boat, different specimens of flora and fauna were kept, and preserving them were the Saptarishis. So the 7 rishis with the flora fauna specimens in the boat tied to the horn of the fish, they all travelled in the deluge waters. Purovat Prasthapya, where did they go? To a place called Madurai. How many of you are from Madurai and surrounding regions here? You are all from a great city, Jigardanda. Huh? So Satyavrata Bhumipam Tam, they all went to that region. Vaivasvatakhyam, Vaivasvata was installed as a Manu. Krodhat Hayagrivam Abhidruta Abhu. That time there was a 2 objective laid for fish, Matsya. One, to protect all of them from the Pralayam. Second, to retrieve the Vedas from the Asura called Hayagriva. So to retrieve the Vedas that were lost by Brahma from the Asura called Hayagriva, Bhagavan became Matsya. So what we have heard is 4 parts. You have to keep following this lecture. It's not the general Ramayanam or Bhagavatam where you are all experts. 1. Dakshinamurti receives this knowledge. Dakshinyaramya Girishasya Murtihi. Second, Brahma's wife Saraswati receives her knowledge. Devi Sarojasana Dharmapatni. Third, Vyasa, Valmiki, Parashara, Shuka and all the Maharishis who have given us scriptures receive their knowledge. Vyasadayopi Vyapadeshya Vachaha. Line A, line B, line C. Person A, person B, person C. Where do they get their knowledge from? Spuranti sarve tavashakti leshahi from Hayagriva. But is Hayagriva only Bhagavan? No. The appendix portion is there was an Asura called Hayagriva who was killed by Bhagavan in the form of a fish. But which Hayagriva am I going to discuss? Not about that Asura Hayagriva, but about Bhagavan's avataram called Hayagriva. Sir, where do we know about Hayagriva, sir? Where will we know more? It is very interesting, I am assuming. Where do we know? From Narayaniyam. What is Narayaniyam? Kuch boliye, chappandi. Sravanam cheyadaniki nenu siddhanga unnanu. Narayaniyam is composed by Bhattatri. All of you agree? Eyes have it, eyes have it, eyes have it. At least in this court, let it be passed. But not that Narayani. That is why I told you. In 1527 period, 1587, Narayana Bhattatri, roughly 400 years back, in the Kshetram called Guruvayur, in the very presence of Krishna, Hantabhagyam Janana, gave us the essence of all the verses of Bhagavatam in the form of 1034 verses housed in 100 dashakams called Narayaniyam. There is no doubt. Sandrananda Vabodhatmakam Agre Pashyami Tejo Ayurarogya Saukyam. That is Narayaniyam. I have spoken on Narayaniyam for 5 days in this very platform. That is Narayaniyam of this millennia. There is one Narayaniyam within the Mahabharata. See, Vyasa gave us Mahabharata, right? That Mahabharata has two portions. It is a bit theoretical. You have to pay attention. I keep telling, music concert is very different from a upanyasam. We don't keep repeating the same line. If you just doze off for a second, I would have crossed 10 shlokas. So there will be no repetition, no neraval, no repeating of the same line. So you have to pay attention. In the Mahabharata, there are two portions. One is the main Mahabharata. Second is the Kilabhagam called Harivamsha. In the Mahabharata, there are 18 parvas. One of the main parvas is Shanti Parva. So first we have Adi Parva, then we have Sabha Parva, then we have Vana Parva, we have Virata Parva, we have Udyoga Parva, Bhishma Parva, Drona Parva, Karna Parva, Shalya Parva. Then there are two big parvas. One is called Anushasana Parva, the other one is Shanti Parva. The largest of the chapters of Mahabharata, these two, Shanti and Anushasana. In that Shanti Parva, there is one sub-portion called Moksha Dharmam. Under Moksha Dharmam, there is one chapter called Narayaniyam. In that Narayaniyam, which is a part of Moksha Dharmam, which is a part of Shanti Parva, which is a part of Mahabharata, is this story of Hayagriva Murti. So that is the chapter we are going to go. Now, Mahabharata, first we'll understand who uttered Mahabharata, wrote Vyasa. The Acharya was Vaishampayana. The one who asked questions and received knowledge was Parikshit's son called Janamejaya. Like how Bhagavatam is a conversation between Vyasa's son Shuka and Abhimanyu's son Parikshit. Like how Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Mahabharata is a conversation between Vaishampayana and Janamejaya. That is why when you recite Vishnu Sahasranamam, we say Vaishampayana Uvacha. You get that point? Now this Vaishampayana is extremely important. Now you may say, sir, you are a great Narayaniyam Bhakta. But today you have told us there is Narayaniyam 1.0 and 2.0. 2.0 is by Bhattatri, 1.0 is by Vyasa. Won't you add some glory to 2.0 Bhattatri? Yes. The person who asked questions to Vaishampayana was whom? Just now I said. Stand up on the bench. What? Who asked questions? Janamejaya. Janamejaya has skin problem, eczema, psoriasis. That is when he comes to Guruvayur to get his disease cured, which is used as the Practo review. Before you go to a doctor, don't you check Practo reviews? The review which Bhattatri got was Janamejaya got cured, so you come here. So Janamejaya's curing helped Bhattatri give Narayaniyam 2.0. Janamejaya's questions gave us Narayaniyam 1.0. You're able to get the difference? Now I'm going to go to Mahabharata portion. What is the greatness of Mahabharata, sir? There is one phalam. I will give you the fruit now itself. Yogo shatam kanakashringamayam dadati vipraya veda vidushecha bahushrutaya punyamscha bharata katham shrunuyamscha nityam tulyam bhavati tasya cha tasya chaiva. This is the phalam of listening to Mahabharata. Anybody, you're a Telugu speaking Astika, Kannada speaking Astika, Tamil speaking Astika, Malayalam speaking Astika, Marathi speaking Astika, Bengali, Odia speaking Astika, Hindi, Gujarati speaking Astika, all of you will get this palam. What is that palam? It was a big sadhana. It was a great achievement for a king to do Ashwamedha Yajna in those days. It was a benchmark. If you do Ashwamedha, you're great. But there were some challenges because you need that amount of resources with you. First, you have to find a horse. It should be a healthy horse. It should be able to run. Morning, if you have to say, number 13, run. It should be a healthy horse. And you should have the valor to face the one who's controlling that horse. Sir, what if we do not have the power to do this Ashwamedha Yajna? Then there is one portion in the Vedas called Ashwamedham. You have to recite that portion. Sir, what if I can't recite also? Some of us will be helpless. We neither can recite nor perform. That is when Mahabharata says, you will get the phalam of doing Ashwamedha by listening to Mahabharata. So today when you go back home and your children call, Mama, where were you? I was doing Ashwamedha. You can say, because you are listening to Mahabharatam. Second, Godanam is extremely important in Sanatana Dharma. Nothing can match Go Samrakshan. Remember this. I'm sure we all lived in multi-story buildings today, so we will not be able to manage cows. Even if we have the interest, we cannot manage. And don't think it is easy to manage cows. Every 20 minutes, they will keep urinating or they will be putting their dung. You'll have to clean it up. It is not an easy task. And if you tell, oh, I will not use the milk, I just have oat milk and I'm vegan. But you will have to get that milk out. Leaving that milk within the mother cow is another danger for the mother cow. So you should know how to get it out. You should know how to maintain that cow. So what do we do best, sir? You go to a Goshala every year and contribute towards Go Samrakshan. Do that. What kind of cows, sir? There are a lot of Goshalas that do not have lactating cows. Those cows which have become sterile, those cows which are handicapped are also being taken by a lot of Goshalas. Ask your child to go give money there. It is very important. Go Samrakshanam is extremely important in our Dharma. Sir, what if we cannot give cows? We have got a shortcut. For in Sanatana Dharma, everything there is a shortcut. 20 grams silver cow you have got, so you will give it to your own son-in-law of the house. 250 rupees is 1 gram silver. That's all. Godanam is over. But what if I have to give you real cows? See, I am talking 200 years back. None of our ancestors were living in apartments. They were all living in villages with cows in their backyard. So this question of organic A2 grass-fed milk will not arise because now only we have plastic-fed milk and grass-fed milk. 200 years back they used to eat only grass. So maintaining cows was a part of everyday's ritual. But today we are in a different world. Let's accept the reality. But giving away cows is a great thing. If you donate 100 cows, mark this line, 100 healthy milk-giving cows, each of their horns with beautiful golden caps. Not normal cows, healthy cows. Not milk-giving cows, milk-giving cows. Not one but 100. Not normal cows, but cows with horns filled with golden caps. Giving away 100 such cows, that fruit is equal to listening to one Mahabharata shlokam. Yogo Shatam. Now look at the Sanskritam. Yogo Shatam, 100. Kanaka Shringam, gold horns. Maya dadhati vipraya veda vidushecha bahushrutaya. Punyamscha bharata katham shrunuyamscha nityam. Tulyam bhavati. It is equivalent. Sahasranama tat tulyam. Tulyam bhavati tasya cha tasya chaiva. So today if your children ask, what did you attend? We did Ashwamedham. What did you do? We gave away 100 cows. You can tell. So I will recite the Mahabharata shloka. Listen patiently to understand Hayagriva Murti's greatness. In my discourses, feel free to record the audio or video. I have no problem. You listen, you record, go home, listen again, share it with your family members. Dharma pravachanam and that distribution should happen from your end. See, I am speaking in one corner in Secunderabad. I don't own the content. What I am telling is Vyasa's content. This middle jokes are only mine. Pure good content is Vyasa's. So feel free. In my discourses, no copyright at all. Feel free to record and share. But just because you're recording, don't stop listening. See, that is another thing. People will say, I am recording, I will listen to it later. You'll never get that time. Listen, record so that you can re-listen and send it to others. In your WhatsApp group, don't send good morning, good evening. Send this. Now, Kathayishyami te sarvam puranam veda sammitam jagau yad bhagavan vyasaha rajnyaha parikshitasya vai. So Parikshitaha means son of Parikshit, which is Janamejaya. And Vaishampayana were talking. What did they ask? Shrutva Shvashiraso Murtim Devasya Harimedhasaha Utpanna Samshayo Raja Yetadeva Machodayat. Shrutva Ashvashirasaha. Ashva means what? Horse. Very good, sir. Ashvamedha. Ashva means horse. Shva in Sanskrit means tomorrow. Ashva means there is no tomorrow. Because you are receiving all the knowledge today itself, it appears as if there is no tomorrow. You are receiving all the knowledge. That is why even in physics, highest power will become horsepower. Have you heard of it? So horse is there everywhere. Horsepower, Ashvaha. So he says, tell me about Ashvaha. Ye taddashitavan brahma devam hayashirodharam kimartham tat sambhavat tanmama chakshvasattama. What happened? Tell me about that horse head, that avatar of Bhagavan. What happened between him and Brahma? Now, we are going to go to the state of Pralaya. For your easy remembrance, I am going to tell you a word. Don't take it in other context. You have to remember Bhagavat Srishti Sthiti Samharam through a word called SPA. S-P-A. SPA. Yen saridu. SPA. S is Sankarshana. P is Pradyumna. A is Aniruddha. A-S-P-A. This is a little philosophical context. I will explain that and then go to the Kathacharitam. You have to pay attention. Sanatana Dharma is diametrically opposite or different from most Western religions because in our Dharma we believe time and events are cyclic. We don't believe it is linear. Western religions are you are born, you are living, you are dead. The general concept of rebirth doesn't exist. That is why preservation of the body even after they are dead is very vital in Western religions, because towards the judgment day that body needs to be resurrected, rejuvenated and taken. But for us, we believe that this body is pancha bhautikam, 5 bhutas are within us. That is why you put logs of wood, burn it, and then it becomes ashes. That's all, because that which is eternal has gone out of the body, which is Jivatma. When the Jivatma goes, body is dysfunctional. You cannot do. See, I love my grandmother. When she was living, I loved her. She too loved me. After she is dead, will I keep her body in the showcase? A party apartment? Nobody will keep. We burn it. So this concept of rebirth and cyclic nature exists. Since it is cyclic in nature, how do we understand the cyclic nature? Let us say I go to a house. You have to understand this example to understand spa. Can somebody go and tell them to keep quiet? Side. So, no, if everybody listens, they will understand. My lecture is not that boring. Now, you go to a house and you tell them, do you have dosa? Can you make dosa? That time that person will say, okay, I can make. Go get the tawa to make dosa from the sink, they will say. What does that mean? They didn't say I will make dosa for you. They said, sure. Get me the tawa from the sink. What does it mean? That means they have made dosa the previous day. So just because you have asked, they have not invented dosa making that day. Dosa, the tawa and the batter was used to make dosa the previous day. So this process of cleaning the tawa, using that batter and giving the dosa to you is not for one day. It was made the previous day as well. Likewise, when we begin understanding our dharma, we should not begin from Srishti. We should begin from Pralayam. Because Pralayam suggests that there was a world before. That is why there is a Pralayam. After Pralayam, you have to come to Srishti and Sthiti. Who is responsible for Pralayam? Sankarshana. Who is responsible for Srishti? Pradyumna. Who is responsible for protection, sustenance? Aniruddha. Who comes first? Dissolution, Sankarshana. Who comes in the middle? Creation, Pradyumna. Who is sustaining? Aniruddha. S-P-A. Spa. First meaning, Ishvaro hi jagat srishta srashta prabhur narayano virat bhutantaratma varadaha sagunaha nirgunopi cha bhutah pralayam shrunushva nripasattama dharanyam athalinayam apsuchaikarnave pura. Now, this is another philosophical concept. Is it boring? No, okay. When Srishti happens, now we have finished with Pralayam. When Srishti happens, there are 5 elements that come into picture. These are called Pancha Bhutas. Now, in what order do they come? Taittiriya Upanishad says, Akashad Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agner Apaha, Adbhyaf Prithvi. So what comes first? Akasha. Akasha is space. From Akasha comes Vayu, air. Vayu comes Agni, fire. From Agni comes water, Apaha. Finally comes Prithvi, which is earth. So what was the first in when the Srishti came? Akasha. What was the last to come? Earth. Correct? Now, when the Pralayam happens, earth will be the first one to go. That is why when Pralayam happens, wherever you see earth, that will all be submerged in water. So earth will be the first to disappear, then will come water. This concoction will be subsumed by the fire, that will go into Vayu, and finally that will all take Lina, Swapadasha in Akasha. So Akasha in the creation is the first to come. Earth is the last to come. In Pralaya, earth will be the first to disappear, and Akasha will be the last. This is the Srishti. First in, last out. That is Akasha Tattva. Now it says, Bhuta Pralayam Shrunushva Nripasattama Dharanyam Athalinayam Apsuchaikarnave Pura. When this was the state, Pralaya had happened, Srishti had to begin. That time, Narayana was the only one sleeping. Everything had got Pralayam. Narayana alone is sleeping. Sir, so much has happened. Will he sleep? Men may come, men may go, but I go on forever. He will not be perturbed at all. So he will be sleeping. So there is water all around. Narayana reclines. Apaha, the water tattva there, is called Nara. The one who uses water, Nara, as his substratum is called Narayana. Narayana means the one who uses water as his resting place. So Narayana's primary meaning is one on water. Correct? So this is the Vaidika meaning. When you make tair vada, you know what is dahi vada? You know how you take urad dal, you make nice batter of it, leave it in the fridge for 2 hours and then make it, the vada will be very good. This is my tip, note it down. So when you make that vada in refined oil, you can see Vaikuntha in it. As that vada gets crispier from all around and you take that brown crispy what that vada out, to make dahi vada there is a process. You should not add curd to it directly. First you have to make the inner portion soft. For that you have to take buttermilk and put it inside. That is what you all do. Telangana ilage kada. So you have to put that into buttermilk. When you put it into buttermilk, slowly that will percolate inside and make that vada inside soft. That time vada will start floating. When my grandmother used to make and my grandfather used to come into the kitchen, he used to say, this is Narayana. Because it is floating on water, right? So vada is Narayana. I asked how? Because you consume more of it, it will take you to Narayana. So, tadavyakta bhitignyeyam trigunam nripasattama vidya sahayavan devo vishwakseno hariprabhu. So Pralaya was happening in full swing. Narayana was resting. Then what happened? Then Narayana thought, it is a long time we have taken for Pralaya. Let the Srishti begin. For Srishti, he needs one supervisor, project manager. So from his Nabhi, a beautiful lotus came. Padmanabha. From his Nabhi came a beautiful lotus. On that lotus was a little child with 4 heads seated. He was like a bumblebee that is hovering around the flower for the nectar. But that little child with 4 heads, Shastram earlier says he had 5. One was taken by Shiva, but for now let's assume he had 4. That 4-headed child was looking around. Main kaun hu? Main aisa kyun hu? Main kaun hu? Who am I? It asked. Tasya chintayata srishtim mahanatma guna smritaha ahankaras tato jato brahma satu chaturmukhaha. So in a beautiful lotus, holding the petals of the lotus, the child started peeping. Who am I? Who am I? It kept asking. Now, as the child kept asking, the child realized that the child had inbuilt knowledge. See, today the era of even pen drives have gone. When we used to deal with pen drives, and I used to go for corporate lectures, it never used to be empty pen drives. The corporate company would have fed a lot of videos and files about their company inside the pen drive. So it's a pre-fed pen drive. Likewise, Brahma was no normal child. He had pre-fed data in him. So each head started uttering mantras. One head started uttering mantras in the form of poetry. Poetic mantras became Rig. So that phase became the originator of Rig Vedam. The next phase said, whatever you have recited as poetry can be converted to music. For example, Kenopayena Laguna, this is poetry. Kenopayena laguna. I have converted this to Sarangaragam. This is music. So Rigvedam, when made with music, becomes Samavedam. That is why Rigveda and Samaveda are very close. Same mantras, but you can sing Samaveda. The third head said, I am not good in poetry. I am only good at prose. Prose is called Yajus. So the third head became Yajurveda. So Rigveda, Rig plus music became Samaveda. Veda minus poetry, only prose became Yajurveda. Now the fourth head said, you three of you have given so much content. I am not going to create new content. I will pick and choose excerpts from the three Vedas, and that conglomerate became Atharvana Veda. So Brahma started telling all this from the four heads. When you know so much, what is the next thing? Ahankaram, that garvam will come. Apseva shayanam chakre nidra yogam upagataha jagatas chintayan srishtim chitram bahugunodbhavan tasya chintayata srishtim mahanatma gunasmritaha ahankaras tato jata. He knew all the four Vedas. If he has ahankaram, nothing wrong. He knows so much. Look at us. We know little. For that itself, we get ahankara. Why will Brahma not get? So we should not feel offended about Brahma. Brahma is correct, but he got ahankara. Ahankaras tato jato Brahma sato chaturmukha. Now, Bhagavan, after Pralayam, wanted to have Srishti as the first step to Srishti. From his navel, Nabhi, came a lotus. Seated on that lotus was Brahma. Brahma wondered, who am I? As he was wondering, each of the heads started uttering Vedas. Because of that knowledge which he was a repository of, he had ahankara. That ahankara should have effect. Leave that aside for some time. Now let's see what happened to that ahankara. Now I'm going to tell you two versions. You have to pay attention. One version is from Mahabharata's Narayaniyam. Second portion is going to be from Devi Bhagavata Mahapurana. First, Narayana looked at the top. You see that Padma? Then you see those two drops of water fall. Two drops of water trickle. It fell on his cheeks. This is what Mahabharata says. Devi Bhagavatam has a different version. It says, I will read out that verse for you from Devi Bhagavatam, which says that Bhagavan, he had ear wax. Ear wax na theriyumo? Kinda kaadu kurumbiin solva parungo. That is ear wax. I don't know, in Telugu lo evanti adi ear wax. You know ear wax? No sir, we don't have ear wax at all. What will you say? What is ear wax? So this ear wax of Narayana combined with that water and gave rise to two Daityas, two Asuras were born. So Narayana, the drop on his cheek and the ear wax, both sides. This is a way you will have to allegorically describe it. Two Asuras came. Now these two Asuras, they had to climb up. How will they climb? This is where Mahabharata says, what did they do to climb? This is where there's a beautiful shloka. They climbed to Brahma's lotus through the stalk of the lotus. Not outside, within. See, there is an important thing here. My Acharya, Karunakaracharya Swami used to state, most of my acharyas, all my acharyas are extremely orthodox. Very, very orthodox. They are all great repositories of knowledge. They will not eat out. They will bathe only in the well waters. Very extremely orthodox. They used to ask me, Dushyanth, if you want to drink tender coconut, how will you drink? I said, I'll go. I'll tell the man, cut the tender coconut. Cha-cha, he'll cut. Put one yellow color straw. And he will give. Has he washed his hands? That and all we don't check. That's all. Orthodox people have a big problem drinking coconut water. I tell you why. Because coconut water, when you chop its portion, what straw will you put? Plastic straw. Decompose, whatever straw. Straw is not made generally of biodegradable elements. So that they will not use. So they cannot use straw. If they keep the tender coconut above their head, Abhishekam, full it will fall. Then there is an easy way, sir. You can shift that coconut water to a glass and drink. There is a Shastra Vakyam. When you shift coconut water to a glass, it is equivalent to liquor. Yo, what do we do, sir? It's a complicated scenario. For us, it is not a problem. We can drink anyway. But I'm telling you, this is the Shastram rule. What do we do? That is why in most of the temples, they will use that coconut and directly put it on the deity. Have you seen it? They will never shift it to a vessel. That is when our Acharya Purushas used to use the stalk of a lotus. That is a natural straw. They will drink with that. So whenever they use natural straw, they have to use the coconut stalk. Now through that coconut stalk, these two asuras climbed closer to Brahma. As these two asuras came, Brahma thought, because Brahma was wondering, main aisa kyun hu, main kaun hu. Now he was elated to have two neighbors. So he touched one of the Daityas and said, "Oh, Daitya, you're so mridu, you're so soft to touch. Excellent skin. How do you maintain your skin? What is the skincare thing? You're so soft." This person whom he called Mrudu became the asura called Madhu. The other asura he touched, he was very hard to touch. Kathora, Kathina. That Kathora, Kathina Daitya became Kaitabha. So Mrudu and Kaitabha were there. This is what this Mahabharatam states. So it states, Ekastra sabhavat vindur madhva bho ruchira prabha satamaso madhurjata tada narayanagnaya kathinastva paro vinduhu kaitabho rajasastute. So they were called Madhu Kaitaba. Now again there is another point. I told you 7 minutes 20 seconds back that when Brahma was uttering Vedas, there were 4 Vedas. When Brahma uttered, those Vedas took the form of 4 little children. They were not just sounds, they became 4 little children, and on Brahma's lap, these 4 children were playing. Brahma was very happy with them. He was joined by Madhu and Kaitaba. Some time back I also told you, because of being so knowledgeable, Brahma had Ahankara, and that had to have its effect. As Brahma was having Ahankara, was playing with the 4 Vedas, personified as the 4 children, and as he was talking to Madhu Kaitaba, in a wink, Madhu and Kaitaba took those 4 children away. Vedas were lost. So today I told you 2 places where Brahma lost the Vedas. When an Asura called Hayagriva came, Brahma yawned and the Vedas were lost, and Brahma had to retrieve the Vedas through Bhagavan in the form of Matsya. Now again he has lost the Vedic knowledge of the 4 children Madhu and Kaitaba have taken. What will he do? Again he will cry. Generally kindergarten children, they will leave their books in the school itself and come. Then they will cry. Brahma started crying. What will he do now? Now we will leave Brahma aside for a moment. Now I have to take you to Devi Bhagavatam. In Devi Bhagavatam there is a beautiful charitra that this Madhu and Kaitaba, as they were given the names, they were born. They were very strong people. Even at birth, they were very strong. As they were very strong, they went and looked into the sky. In that sky, they saw a thunder and a lightning. They heard a thunder and they saw a lightning. The moment they heard the thunder and saw the lightning, each of them explained, "Hey!" That's how we do, right? "Hey!" They did. That "Hey" came with a small bijaksharam called Aim. That Aim is extremely important to invoke Parvati Devi. So if you are a Sri Vidya Upasaka, Aim, Hreem, Kreem, we say, right? So these are all bijaksharas. That sound will become the seed to that mantra. So they looked at the lightning and said, Aim! That's all. Parvati Devi appeared. So she said, "You have recited my mantra, Vagbija mantra. See, as I'm describing this Vagbija mantra, I thought I will take you through one great kriti of Dikshita, where he goes to Tirunelveli. I spoke about Madurai today. South of Madurai, there's another kshetra. Any Tirunelveli Astikas here? See, from Tirunelveli Astikas, special offer today. So when they went to this, there is a kshetram within Tirunelveli where Shiva is referred to as Nellai Appar. Parvati is called Sri Kantimati. What is famous about Tirunelveli? Halwa. So they recited this Ain. Now Muthuswami Dikshita tells about that Devi. Hrim Kara Bija Karavadanam Hiranya Manimaya Dorbha Sadanam Paka Shasanadi Deva Vinutam Parashura Manata Hima Shaila Sutam Shuka Shaunakadi Sadaradhitam Shuddha Tamraparnitata Shankhadyashtotar Sahasra Kalashadishekamoham Surahitam Shri Kantimatim Hrim Kara. So the Bijaksharam is Hrim, I'm Hrim. So these children, little boys, Madhu and Kaitapa said, that's all. Devi appeared. She said, you have invoked my names. That is when these boys were asked, Madhu and Kaitapa, what boon do you want? Madhu and Kaitapa said, we should be able to decide our death, the mode of death. Give us that. Such a dangerous boon. But Parvati, she thought of Narayana and said, Narayana, I am put in a very tough scenario, what do I do? Narayana said, grant. Okay, you can decide your mode of death. That's all. So they were already strong. That time they went through the Nala, they took those 4 little children and went away. Now Brahma is lost. He said, where are my little children? Where will I go for the Vedas? That is when he prayed to Narayana, and Narayana at that point in time appeared for the first time with a beautiful kritam. Mahabharata says it looked as if all the grahas and nakshatras had come in the form of a beautiful glistening crown. Ganga and Yamuna had become his eyebrows. Chandra and Surya had become such beautiful eyes. He looked like a resplendent, blemishless stone called Spatika, with aura all around, with the neighing of a horse. That is, for the first time, Mahabharata says that Bhagavan appeared as Hayagriva. He appeared with the head and the neck of Haya, Ashva. Akantham Adi Purusham. There was Adi Purusha Sharira. Shankham Chakram, with the manes all around, with a beautiful long neck as that of a horse, turning in the northeastern direction. Pragvut Uche. So it was turned towards the northeastern direction. And there Hayagriva appeared. As he appeared, Brahma was amazed. How beautiful you look. Because Brahma did a stuti. I will recite that Brahma stuti. That's a very important stuti which they keep invoking. Veda me paramam chakshur, Veda me paramam balam, Veda me paramam dhama, Veda me brahmachottaram, Mama Veda hrita sarve danavabhyam baladitaha, Andhakara hime loka jata vaider vinakritaha, Veda nrite hi kuryam lokanam srishtimuttamam, Aho batamahad dukkham vedanashanajam mama. As Bhagavan appeared, it was such a beautiful form to see. As Bhagavan appeared, Brahma said, Please give me those lost children. That is when Hayagriva Murti went, retrieved those 4 Vedas as children and gave it back to Brahma and said, Brahma, be careful from now on, lock them and keep and continue. Brahma continued Srishti. Meanwhile, Asura, those 2 Asuras, Madhu and Kaitaba, after going hither and thither, they came home, they found the 4 children missing. They said, who has taken these children away? And then they went into the waters. When they went into the waters, they were able to listen to Vedic sound. Samahara samnam patipradam rucham dhamayajusham layaf pratyuhanam laharivitatir bodhajaladehe. Oh, I can listen to Vedic sound. That means those 4 children have gone into safe hands. Who did this? That is when Bhagavan appeared. Now Bhagavan has already told Parvati that grant them the boon that they can choose their mode of death. Looking at these 2 men, you know what Bhagavan did? You both look so valorous. I wish to ask for a boon from you. Madhu and Kaitaba felt very important. See, earlier we used to ask boons. Now we are in a position to grant boons. Pucho Narayan, tumhe kya chahiye? Bhagavan said, both of you should die from my hands. The first time, will you ever do that? They had no other option. They said, you choose your time, you can choose your mode and you can kill us. That is when Bhagavan said, let us not make it a complete action movie. You come and sleep on my lap and I will put you to sleep. So Madhu came on one lap, Kaitabha came on the other lap. Bhagavan now started caressing them. Now he slowly started moving his hands, patting them. They all fell to sleep. Then he crushed them. Madhu and Kaitaba, at the end of the day, they are earwax and water combination. So he crushed them, and from their body there came a fat. That fat in Sanskritam is called Medas. He did not know where to apply. That time he saw Bhumi Devi's surfaces were a bit rugged. So he applied that fat Medas on Bhumi Devi's lofty mountains and plains. Thereby Bhumi Devi, by being applied with Medas, was called Medini from then on. Now, where were they killed? On their lap. That is why Vedanta Deshika says, Striratnakaranam upapatta tritiya varnam daityendra veera shayanam daitopadhanam. The thighs which was able to destroy Madhu and Kaitabha. Now that Hayagriva Murti who retrieved the 4 children, the 4 Vedas to Brahma, killed Madhu and Kaitabha, is the Murti who has been described in our Mahabharata, in the Narayaniyam portion, as well as in the other portion of Devi Bhagavatam. Now when I told you about Devi Bhagavatam, why did he choose the horse's head? He came as a horse, Hayashiras. What is the charitram to it? This is another interesting charitram from Devi Bhagavatam. It says, Shunvantu munaya sarve savadhana samantataha charitam deva devasya vishnoho paramatejasah kadachid arunam yuddham kritva deva sanatanaha dashavarsha sahasrani parishranto janardanaha. Once upon a time, Narayana, called Janardana, after having fought for many years, became tired. What did he fight with? With a bow. What did he have? Quiver of arrows. He became very tired. So he sat on a bench, kept that bow and started putting his head on it. Deva said, if he keeps sleeping like this, who will protect us all? So Brahma and Shiva were equally confused. That is when they all came up with the idea of waking him up. How to wake him? From the twang of the bow, that sound has to come. Who will do that twang? Because he is resting on it. Nobody had the audacity to go. So Brahma said, all you devas become the ants called Vamri, and you all climb that particular string so that you start eating them, and that string will automatically create that noise. So these people became that particular ants. It said, Utpadita tada Vamri Brahmana Parameshthina tada bhakshayitum tatra dhanursho agradhara stitam. As they started eating away one part of the string, because of the sudden force, that string got out of the bow and that bow hit Bhagavan's head. It's all animation now. Fully you have to think that in animated fashion. That head flew away. Now Adi Purusha has lost his head. Immediately Devas said, where do we get the new head from? That is when it was said, that form in Bhagavad Srishti which grants knowledge is the horse. Attach the horse's head there. So the first plastic surgery was done. So this horse's head was attached to Bhagavan's Shariram, mentioned in Devi Bhagavatam. That horse head Bhagavan called Hayavadana or Hayashiras is the one who killed Madhukaitaba. That Hayagriva appeared before Brahma and brought all the four Vedas as the lost children. It is this Hayagriva whose eye glances give knowledge to Dakshinamurti, to Vyasa and to Saraswati. So this is Hayagriva Charitram from Mahabharata's Shanti Parva in a Upaparva called Narayaniyam in Moksha Dharmam, combined with Devi Bhagavata Mahapurana. So this is the greatness. Now, as we speak about the greatness of Hayagriva, we should understand who all have praised him. In the Tamil tradition, we have an Alvar called Thirumangai Alvar. He says in two places, Vasayil nan marai keduttavam malar ayarkaruli mun parimugamai. Vasayil nan marai keduttavam malar ayarkaruli mun parimugamai. இசைகொள் வேத நூல் என்றிவை பயந்தவனே எனக்கருள் புரியே உயர்கொள் மாதவி போதொடுலாவிய மாருதம் வீதியின்பாய் திசையெல்லாம் கமழும் பொழில் சூழ் திருவெள்ளரை நின்றானே. திருவெள்ளரை நின்றானே. Near Tiruchirappalli there is a kshetram called Tiruvellarai. Alvar says, Vasayil Nanmarai, at one point in time when Brahma seemed to have lost his connect to all the four Vedas, Malar Ayarku Aruli, to that Brahma, Mun Parimugamayo, Bhagavan who incarnated with the head of a horse, Isai Kol, coupled with music, you gave back the lost Vedas, the Itihasas and Puranas, Vedanul Yendrivai Payandavane. எனக்கு அருள் புரியே. Thirumangai Alvar says, O Hayagriva, grant me that knowledge. Likewise, in another pasuram, he says, முன் இவ்வுலகு ஏழும் இருள் மண்டி உண்ண முனிவரோடு தானவர்கள் திகைப்ப வந்து பன்னுகளையினால் வேதப் பொருளையெல்லாம் பரிமுகமாய் அருளிய நம் பரமன் காண்மின். When the Devas and Asuras were equally lost in the darkness of this world, and when Brahma had lost the access to the Vedas, Hey Bhagavan, who incarnated with the head of a horse, please grant me knowledge as well. So Thirumangai Alvar says. There is another interesting charitra. It is mentioned in Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavata. There was an Acharya called as a Vaishampayana. He had a Sishya called as Yagyavalkya. Now, teacher and student were intelligent, they had a good relationship, but it did so happen once that there was a tussle between the Acharya and the student. At that point in time, the Acharya got furious at his student Yagyavalkya and said, what you are doing is wrong. Yagyavalkya said, I have not done anything wrong. Then you can leave my assembly, you leave my ashrama. Yagyavalkya had to leave. That time the rishi stopped and the teacher said, stop. I have been giving you the essence of the Vedas all these years. Vomit that and go. How will you vomit knowledge? You can vomit, but not knowledge, right? How will you vomit that knowledge? He vomited. Evam athaha bhagavan stava charana nalina yugalam tribhuvana guru bhiravandita mahamaya yatam ajushkam upasaramiti ittevam abhipistena stuyamanasya vairavihi yajunshayatu visrishtani yagyavalkyena vaidvija jagruhustitira bhutva taittiriyastu te tataha. So he vomited. He said, I will vomit. As he vomited, chunks of flesh and blood came. Now Yagyavalkya left. Vaishampayana said, whatever I have taught has remained as knowledge as flesh. My dear students, it should not remain as is. Consume it. Students said, isn't this wrong to consume somebody's vomit, especially as blood and flesh? What do we do? That is when the Acharya said, you all take the form of little birds called Tittiri Pakshi. Tittiri Pakshi has flesh chunks. You consume this Vedic chunks and then reproduce them by attaining your Rishi form. Those rishis in the form of Titiri Pakshis consumed that flesh knowledge and retrieved it back. That Upanishad is called Taittiriya Upanishad. And that became Krishna Yajurveda. How many of you are Krishna Yajurvedins here? See, most மாமிகளும் தூக்கலாம், அது மாமா மட்டும்தான் தூக்கலாம். How many of you are Krishna Yajurvedis? How many of you are Shukla Yajurvedis? Few there, few. I'm sure some of the Astikas who have raised your hands, I'm presuming, if you have raised for Shukla Yajurvedam, are you Telugu speaking? Anybody who's Tamil speaking Shukla Yajurvedi? One. Any other Tamil speaking Shukla Yajurvedi? It is very rare to find. Mama is a rarity, is a gem here. So Shukla Yajurveda Tamil speaking is very rare. We will have them in Telugu speaking and Gujarati speaking communities. Now let's come to Shukla Yajurveda. Now this Yajnavalkya, we have left the story somewhere. Taittiriya Upanishad has come. Yajnavalkya went away, right? Now Yajnavalkya felt, whatever I have acquired, I have thrown it away. I need the same essence from Bhagavan. That is when he started propitiating Surya. Surya's Antaryami is Narayana, and Narayana appeared as a white complexioned horse to give that knowledge. That becomes Shukla Yajurveda or Vajasaneya Samhita. Vajasaneya, it has got the head of a horse. So our Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda itself finds its roots in Hayagriva Murti. Next, 1000 years back, there was a great Acharya called Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya, while he lived in Dakshina Bharatam in Tamil Nadu, wanted to give the interpretation to the Brahma Sutras of Badarayana in a way that is acceptable to a rishi called Bodhayana. You have to pay attention. All this information will be new. Bodhayana Maharishi. Again, I will take one census. How many of you, when you do your Abhivadaye, invoke Apastamba? See? Mamigalum tukono, Maman Jonnanna tukono. So, Apastamba. How many of you invoke Bodhayana? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now, Bodhayana is an again rarity, but he was a great Maharshi. This Bodhayana had written one manuscript and he had left it where? In Kashmir. Where is that place? Currently in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, POK. It was the largest library called Sharada Bhandaram. He had left it there. Now Bhagavad Ramanuja in Tamil Nadu wanted to access that seed. Accessing and retrieving knowledge was a task in those days. Today we are in a world where you don't have to remember anything. You buy the book, keep it in that shelf, you don't have to read it at all. Books were a rarity. You will never have 100 photocopies of Matsya Purana. I will tell you how it used to work. Please pay attention. Matsya Purana, for example, has 6,000 shlokas. Suppose a Vidwan in Kanchipuram wanted that manuscript. It won't be available. He would have known from another scholar who has been traveling that one manuscript of Matsya Purana is in Gujarat. So while a few people travel from Kanchipuram towards Gujarat, this scholar in Kanchipuram will tell, when you are going to Gujarat, please ask that Vidwan to give that copy. I will read it and give it back. So that person will travel for 2 months to Gujarat performing the Nitya Karmanushtana, go there, request that scholar, bring that manuscript to Kanchipuram and will say, there is another friend going to Gujarat tomorrow, you have only one night, read it and give. So in that one night, this scholar has to by heart all those 6,000 shlokas and give it. You cannot write. So for us, memory was so important. There was no way. Xerox eduthirukalame. What Xerox 1000 years back? What photocopy? You don't even have stationary material to write. It was not easy to get those raw material for manuscripts. You have to read, listen, memorize. They use, that is why Alzheimer's, dementia was not very common, because you have to keep giving your brain that job. Today Today we are dependent on Sudoku because we don't have to remember. Look at what state we are in. If you recite 2 shlokas, they say, how are you able to recite? You have to recite 4 lakh shlokas that time to be called a Mahavidwan. So it was not easy. So Ramanuja pay attention, Ramanuja with his Sishya Kuresha called Kurattalvan from Tamil Nadu 1000 years back walked all the way to Kashmir. That time there was no POK, all of that. It was all larger Bharatam. There he went to the Sharada Bhandaram Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati. Kashmir was such a seat of learning. What we are today, I can't even describe. When we have to read Shastram, Kashmir is so important for us. Kalhana, Bilhana, Rajatarangini, what all, Kshemendra, Ramayana Manjari, what all works, Abhinava Gupta. So many works have come from Kashmir. I don't know where we are today. Today we are talking about stone pelting, cutting of head, shooting. See, I don't know what is that karma of Kashmir today. In those days, Sharada Bhandaram was there. Ramanuja reached that place. Before he could get inside, 4-5 questions were asked by those Kashmir Vidwans. They said, if you answer only, we will let you inside. You can go check that library. Ramanuja answered. He was Seshavataram. He could answer. He answered all those questions. They gave him access to that library. Now, like how we have passwords today, he had access. There he got this Bodhayana Vritti Grantham, the only copy of Bodhayana's commentary to Brahma Sutras. He got that, and that time, there Saraswati Devi, she was so impressed that she gave the Divya Mangala Vigraha of Lakshmi Hayagriva to Ramanuja. This Lakshmi Hayagriva was given to Ramanuja. You are such a great person, you take this Bodhayana Vritti Grantham and take this Vigraham as well. So Ramanuja, along with his great Sishya Parampara led by Kuresha, got that Vigraham, the Bodhayana Vritti Grantham, and they were crossing. They left that place. That night, he slept. The next morning, 8 a.m., they see after their Anushtanam that Vritti Grantham is missing. He had taken 3000 kilometers sojourn, answered those 4 questions and got that Vritti Grantham. There is no other copy to it. That was lost. He asked, oh my goodness, what a bad karma, I have lost it. That is when his student Kuresha said, don't worry, sir. I laid the bed for you the previous night and you had slept. Before the sun could rise, I had finished studying the entire manuscript. And I know the entire manuscript by heart. Whenever you have to comment, you just have to call me. I will tell that page number and those lines, and you can comment. Can you even imagine what a memory they all possessed? It is tough. Four numbers we can't remember today. Phone number, 10-digit number we cannot remember. That is the state we are in today. And we are very happy. Phone kitta ella irukku. We are very happy. Why should I remember? That blessing Kuresha got because of this Lakshmi Hayagriva. That Lakshmi Hayagriva, worshipped by Brahma, then by his wife Saraswati, then later given to Ramanuja, who gave it to his nephew called Tirukkurugai Piran Pillan, was passed over in his generation, reached the hands of a person called Pundarikaksha, who gave it away to Vedanta Deshika, who gave it away to his Sishya Brahmatantra Swatantra Jiyar, and that Vigraha is worshipped in the Parakala Math in Mysore. You can go and see that Vigraha. So Lakshmi Hayagriva is that source of knowledge. What else did Hayagriva do, sir? In Vedanta Deshika's life, I keep repeating this person's name because he is my hero. Vedanta Deshika was born in 1268, roughly 750 years plus back in Kanchipuram. And Kanchipura was the place of debates. After debating for a long time, he said, I want some peace. For him, the resort life was given by Tiruvahindrapuram near Kadalur. There he went and propitiated the Bhagavan called as Devanatha Swami. Opposite the temple is a little hillock called Oshadagiri, which is believed to be a portion of the hill that Hanuman had carried to Lanka. He sat atop the hill and worshipped Garuda. Garuda, after reciting Garuda mantra, Garuda came pratyaksha and he said, I will teach you Hayagriva mantram. You recite Hayagriva mantram and Hayagriva will appear. Vedanta Deshika diligently, religiously, sincerely, persistently, consistently recited the Hayagriva mantra and Hayagriva appeared. When Hayagriva appeared, from the tongue of that horse, that little drop of Lalamritam fell on Hayagriva, and that is when he began Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatika Kritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahe. I meditate on Hayagriva, who is the personification of Jnana Ananda. When I was a child, roughly about 4 years, four and a half, the first stotram that I was taught of 33 shlokas was Hayagriva Stotram. So I will recite that Hayagriva Stotram now before going to the rest of the story. Feel free to record. This is a very important stotra for memory. If you believe that memory is very important for us, learn this, recite this. Now don't ask me, is there a research paper to prove? If you are searching for proof, it is a waste to come for a lecture. You have to believe in Bhagavan. Believe, rakshishyati iti vishwasaha. Don't ask for proof. This will take roughly about 7 to 8 minutes. You can record. See your phone capacity storage. Or rather, I should give you a task. As I recite, you should remember. Let us become Kuresha. Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatika Kritim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahe Swatas Siddham Shuddhas Patikamani Bhubrit Pratibhatam Sudha Sadhichi Vidyutibhiravada Tatribhuvanam Anantaistrayantai Ranubhita Kesha Halahalam Hatasesha Vadyam Hayavadana Midi Mahimaha Samahara Samnam Pratipadam Rucham Dhama Yidusham Layaf Pratyuhanam Lahari Vitatir Bodha Jaladehe Katha Darpakshubhyat Katakakula Kola Halabhavam Haratu Antadhvantam Hayavadana Hesha Halahalaha Prachi Sandhya Kachi Dantarnishayaha Prajna Drishte Ranjana Shrira Purva Vaktri Vedan Bhatume Vaji Vaktra Vagi Shakhya Vasudevasya Murtihi Vishuddha Vijnana Ghanaswarupam Vijnana Vishranana Baddha Diksham Daya Nidhim Deha Bhritam Sharanyam Devam Hayagrivam Aham Prapadye Appaurushe Yairapivak Prapanchaihi Adyapite Bhuti Madrishta Param Stuvannaham Mugdha iti tvayaiva Karunyato Natha Katakshaniyaha Dakshinya Ramya Girishasya Murtihi Devi Saroja Sanadharma Patni Vyasadayopi Vyapadeshya Vachaha Spuranti Sarve Tava Shakti Leshaihi Mando Bhavishyan Niyatam Virinchaha Vacham Nidhe Vanchita Bhagadeyaha Daitya Panitan Dayaiva Bhuyopi Adya Paishyo Nigamanna Chetvam Vitarkadolam Vyabadhuya Satve Brihaspatim Vartayase Tastvam Tenaiva Deva Tridaseshwaranam Asprishta Dolaitam Adhirajyam Agnau Samirdarchishi Saptatantoho Atasthivan Mantramayam Shariram Akhanda Sarair Havisham Pradanaihi Apyayanam Vyomasadam Vidatse Yanmula Midrik Pratibhati Tatvam Yamula Mamnaya Mahadrumana Tatvena Jananti Vishuddha Satvaha Tvam Aksharam Aksharamattrikam Te Avyakritat Vyakritavana Sitvam Namani Rupani Chayani Purvam Shamsanti Tesham Charamam Pratishtham Vagishwaratvam Twadupajnavachaha Mugdhendu Nishyanda Vilobhaniya Murtim Tavananda Sudha Prasutim Vipaschitas Chetasi Bhavayante Velam Udaram Ivadugdha Sindho Manogatam Pashyati Yasada Tvam Manishinam Manasaraja Hamsam Swayam Purobhava Vivada Bhajaha Kim Kurvate Tasya Giro Yatharham Apikshanardham Kalayanti Yetvam Aplavayantam Vishadairma Yukhaihi Vacham Pravahairanivaritaiste ಮಂದಾಕಿನಿ ಮಂದಯಿತುಂ ಕ್ಷಮಂತೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನ್ ಭವಧ್ಯಾನ ಸುಧಾಭಿಷೇಕಾತ್ ವಹಂತಿ ಧನ್ಯಾಃ ಪುಲಕಾನುಬಂಧಂ ಅಲಕ್ಷಿತೆ ಕ್ವಾಪಿ ನಿರೂಢ ಮೂಲಂ ಅಂಗೇಶ್ವಿವಾನಂದತು ಮಂಕುರಂತಂ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನ್ ಪ್ರತೀಚಾ ಹೃದಯೇನ ಧನ್ಯಾಃ ತ್ವಧ್ಯಾನ ಚಂದ್ರೋದಯ ವರ್ಧಮಾನಂ ಅಮಾಂತಮಾನಂತ ಪಯೋಧಿಮಂದಃ ಪಯೋಭಿರಕ್ಷ್ಣಾಂ ಪರಿವಾಹಯಂತಿ ಸ್ವೈರಾನುಭಾವಾಸ್ತ್ವದೀನ ಭಾವಾಃ ಸಮೃದ್ಧ ವೀರ್ಯಾಸ್ತ್ವದನುಗ್ರಹೇಣ ವಿಪಶ್ಚಿತೋ ನಾಥ ತರಂತಿ ಮಾಯಾಂ ವೈಹಾರಿಕಿ ಮೋಹನ ಪಿಂಚಿಕಾಂ ತೇ ಪ್ರಾಂಗ್ ನಿರ್ಮಿತಾನಾಂ ತಪಸಾಂ ವಿಪಾಕಾಃ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಗ್ರ ನಿಶ್ರೇಯಸ ಸಂಪದೋ ಮೇ ಸಮೇಧಿ ಶೀರನ್ಸ್ತವ ಪಾದ ಪದ್ಮೇ ಸಂಕಲ್ಪ ಚಿಂತಾಮಣಯಃ ಪ್ರಣಾಮಾಃ ವಿಲುಪ್ತ ಮೂರ್ಧನ್ಯ ಲಿಪಿಕ್ರಮಾಣಾಂ ಸುರೇಂದ್ರ ಚೂಡಾಪದಲಾಲಿತಾನಾಂ ತ್ವದಂಗ್ರಿ ರಾಜೀವ ರಜಕ್ಕಣಾನಾಂ ಭೂಯಾನ್ ಪ್ರಸಾದೋ ಮೈನಾಥ ಭೂಯಾತ್ ಪರಿಸ್ಫುರನ್ನೋಪುರ ಚಿತ್ರಭಾನುಃ ಪ್ರಕಾಶ ನಿರ್ಧೂತ ತಮೋನುಶಂಕಾಂ ಪದದ್ವಯೀಂ ತೇ ಪರಿಚಿನ್ಮಹೇಂತಃ ಪ್ರಬೋಧ ರಾಜೀವ ವಿಭಾತ ಸಂಧ್ಯಾಂ ತ್ವತ್ಕಿಂಕಳಾಲಂಕರಣೋಚಿತಾನಾಂ ತ್ವಯೈವ ಕಲ್ಪಾಂತರಪಾಲಿತಾನಾಂ ಮಂಜುಃ ಪ್ರಣಾದಂ ಮಣಿನೋಪುರಂ ತೇ ಮಂಜೂಶಿಖಾಂ ವೇದಗಿರಾಂ ಪ್ರತೀಮಃ ಸಂಚಿಂತಯಾಮಿ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಶಾಸ್ತಾನ್ ಸಂದುಕ್ಷಯಂತಂ ಸ್ಮಮಯ ಪ್ರದೀಪಾನ್ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಕಲ್ಪದ್ರುಮಪಲ್ಲವಾಭಂ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ ಮುದ್ರಾ ಮಧುರಂ ಕರಂ ತೇ ಚಿತ್ತೇ ಕರೋಮಿ ಸ್ಫುರಿತಾಕ್ಷಮಾಲಂ ಸವ್ಯೇತರಂ ನಾಥಕರಂ ತ್ವದೀಯಂ ಜ್ಞಾನಾಮೃತೋತ್ ಅಂಜನಲಂ ಪಟಾನಾಂ ಲೀಲಾಘಟೀಯಂತ್ರಮಿವಾಶ್ರಿತಾನಾಂ ಪ್ರಬೋಧ ಸಿಂಧೋರ್ ಅರುಣೈಃ ಪ್ರಕಾಶೈಃ ಪ್ರವಾಳ ಸಂಘಾತಮಿವೋದ್ವಹಂತಂ ವಿಭಾವಯೇ ದೇವ ಸಪುಸ್ತಕಂ ತೇ ವಾಮಂ ಕರಂ ದಕ್ಷಿಣಮಾಶ್ರಿತಾನಾಂ ತಮಾಂಸಿ ಭಿತ್ವಾ ವಿಶದೈರ್ಮಯೂಖೈಃ ಸಂಪ್ರೀಣಯಂತಂ ವಿದುಷಶ್ಚಕೋರಾನ್ ನಿಶಾಮಯೇ ತ್ವಾಂ ನವಪುಂಡರೀಕೆ ಶರದ್ಗಣೇ ಚಂದ್ರಮಿವ ಸ್ಫುರಂತಂ ದಿಶಂತು ಮೇ ದೇವ ಸದಾ ತ್ವದೀಯಾಃ ದಯಾ ತರಂಗಾನುಚರಾ ಕಟಾಕ್ಷಾಃ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರೇಷು ಪುಂಸಾಮೃತಂ ಕ್ಷರಂತೀಂ ಸರಸ್ವತೀಂ ಸಂಶ್ರುತಃ ಕಾಮಧೇನುಂ ವಿಶೇಷವಿತ್ ಪಾರಿಷಜೇಷು ನಾಥ ವಿದಗ್ಧ ಗೋಷ್ಠಿ ಸಮರಾಂಗನೇಷು ಜಿಗೀಷತೋ ಮೇ ಕವಿತಾರ್ಕಿಕೇಂದ್ರಾನ್ ಜಿಹ್ವಾಗ್ರ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನಮಭ್ಯುಪೇಯಾಃ ತ್ವಾಂ ಚಿಂತಯನ್ ತ್ವನ್ಮಯತಾಂ ಪ್ರಪನ್ನಃ ತ್ವಾಂ ಉದ್ಗೃಣನ್ ಶಬ್ದಮಯೇನ ಧಾಮ್ನಾ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನ್ ಸಮಾಜೇಷು ಸಮೇಧಿಶೀಯಃ ಸ್ವಚ್ಛಂದವಾದಾಃ ಬದ್ಧಶೂರಃ ನಾನಾವಿಧಾನಾಂ ಅಗತಿಃ ಕಲಾನಾಂ ನ ಚಾಪಿ ತೀರ್ಥೇಷು ಕೃತಾವತಾರಃ ಧ್ರುವಂ ತವಾನಾಥ ಪರಿಗ್ರಹಾಯಾಃ ನವಂ ನವಂ ಪಾತ್ರಮಹಂ ದಯಾಯಾಃ ಅಕಂಪನೀಯಾನ್ಯಪನೀದಿ ಭೇದೈಃ ಅಲಂಕೃಶೀರನ್ ಹೃದಯಂ ಮದೀಯಂ ಶಂಕಾಕಲಂಕಾಪಕಮುಜ್ವಲಾನಿ ತತ್ವಾನಿ ಸಂಯಂಚಿತವಃ ಪ್ರಸಾದಾತ್ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾ ಮುದ್ರಾಂ ಕರಸರಸಿಜೈಃ ಪುಸ್ತಕಂ ಶಂಖಚಕ್ರೆ ಬಿಭ್ರದ್ಭಿನ್ನ ಸ್ಫಟಿಕರುಚಿರೆ ಪುಂಡರೀಕೆ ನಿಷಣ್ಣಃ ಅಮ್ಲಾನಶ್ರೀರಮೃತವಿಶದೈರಂಶುಭಿಃ ಪ್ಲಾವಯನ್ಮಾಂ ಆವಿರ್ಭೂಯಾತನಘಮಹಿಮಾ ಮಾನಸೇ ವಾಗಧೀಶಃ ವಾಗರ್ಥಸಿದ್ಧಿಹೇತೋ ಪಠತ ಹಯಗ್ರೀವ ಸಂಸ್ತುತಿಂ ಭಕ್ತ್ಯಾ ಕವಿತಾರ್ಕಿಕ ಕೇಸರಿಣಾ ವೆಂಕಟನಾಥೇನ ವಿರಚಿತಾಂ ಏತಾಂ. This is a compendium of 33 verses called Hayagriva Stotram. Please teach this to your young children. I'm sure parents and grandparents, you're all well-wishers for your children. But trust me, 10 grams of protein, vitamin D, all that, don't keep focusing only on that. Mental health, how will you give work to your brain? Until and unless it is, in my opinion, it is IMHO, in my humble opinion, I feel this is where our Shastram becomes important. This will lay the foundation for your language proficiency, for your calculating ability, for your speaking ability. You learn Sanskritam, you learn Hayagriva Stotram, trust me, you can learn Chinese tomorrow, you can learn Greek in 1 week. Any language becomes very easy because Hayagriva is there. Narayaniyam says, whoever listens to Hayagriva Stotram, whoever listens to Hayagriva Upakhyanam, their memory will never fade. See, life is about memories. Imagine just for a second, imagine you do not know whom you're talking to. It will be your wife. Can you even imagine that state? The lady keeps telling, I am your wife. Every second they have to keep reminding you. That state can come to any of us because none of us are using our brains. We are not giving its capacity. If I teach 4 shlokas to a child, that mother comes complaining saying, oh, they feel very taxed. Your brain has the ability to store all the 4 Vedas and 18 Puranas, and you're learning 2 shlokas and you feel tired. Before they are 10 years, they should have learned 1000 shlokas. They should have. You should, when you're learning music, you should not have lyrics in front of you. You should not have the swaram. If they tell Navaraga Malika Varanam, if they tell Nannu Brovarama, tell that second Pallavi, you should be able to retrieve. That is memory. You have to train yourself. Nothing comes by just, having Triptin, Complan. All that will not help. You have to work very hard to condition your brain to store. It is not an easy task. You have to take efforts. Don't leave that prime years. Then I've heard people state, sir, my parents used to say I never used to listen. Now at the age of 65, I want to learn. I'm not able to get. Why do you want to keep repeating mistakes and take pride in it? Try, learn, you can. For that you need Hayagriva. Without Hayagriva's grace, that memory will not come. You have to, these are all the secrets. Our acharyas will state, when you sit for a lecture, think of Hayagriva Murti. You recite Hayagriva Stotram, learn it. You go to your corporate world and give a presentation, Jihwagra Simhasanam Abhyupeya, says Deshika. Hayagriva will take a seat, settle on that seat, put his seat belt and will sit on the tip of your tongue, it seems. Jihwagra, tip of your tongue. Because many occasions we will want to say something, it will come till here. After that it won't come. எனக்கு என்ன சொல்றதுன்னு தெரியல. அது சொல்றதுக்கா இத்தனை நாளைக்கு காத்துந்தேன். என்ன சொல்றதுன்னு தெரியல. அதுவா ஒரு லைன். Why? I'm not, see, don't think, when I recite, deliver lectures, 250 lectures I give every year. Imagine 15, 20 years, how many? Many occasions I would have forgotten that shloka, but you will not realize. I would have quietly transitioned to the next narration, because that moment that shloka would have not come. I won't tell. You shloka marandutena kupuduvaro Sridhar Subhashi enne. He will not call me the next time, but I will. Why is that not coming? Because there will be some kind of a lopam that I would have done. I would have not thought of Hayagriva that day. If Hayagriva sits on your tongue, you will get it. Now, Vedanta Deshika, any grantha, he says, Yatan nishkrishtamithyam yatipati hridaya rudhamarudatarkshas tadvakta vajivaktraha. He writes one work, towards the end he'll say, you know why I delivered this work? Because Hayagriva sits on my tongue. That is a standard line. Hayagriva sits. Very important line he says, Yenmulami Murdhanya. He says, even your Brahma Lipi can be changed to some extent by Hayagriva, it says. So it's very important. Speech, tongue. Now, who else is celebrated? There is one Ashtottara Shatanamavali by Agastya Maharishi on Hayagriva. There is one Kavacham called Hayagriva Kavacham by Mahadeva who has recited. There is one Atharvana Veda Antargata Mantrakhanda Hayagriva Kavacham. There is one Hayagriva Sahasranamam. Kalasham Buddhisankasham Kamalayatalocanam Kalanidhim Krutavasam. Because you'll become a Kalanidhi. Kalanidhi means a treasure of kalas, arts. In another shloka, he says, because Hayagriva is Dayanidhi, you will become Kalanidhi. The best line to go to Chennai. Dayanidhi makes us Kalanidhi. Jnana mudra kshavalaya shanka chakrala satkaram bhusha kirana sandoha virachida digantaram. In the Narada Purana, there is a samvada between Narada and Vyasa, which is called Hayagriva Panjaram. You know what is Panjaram? Very good. Panjaram is cage. Muthuswami Dikshita says, Mama Vashiva Panjara Shuki Pankaja Mukhi Guru Guharanjani Duita Bhanjani Niranjani Kanjadalaya Takshi. See, my Acharya used to say something. Can I give that tip? Will that be helpful? Is it boring? No. Okay. When you learn a Sanskrit work, my Acharya used to state, if someone says a word, you should tune your brain to such a way that you are able to extract that line. See, today when we go to a PDF and I say, type the word protein, you know what will it do on the left hand side? It will say 17 searches found. Page 3 of that 353 pages, it will show that exact line where that protein has come. Have you done that search? It will highlight. It will say page number 221, protein. Likewise, my Acharya used to state, when you're learning Narayaniyam, you get the word Rushanthe. You should tell where that word is. Dashakam number 24, verse number 3. Dashakam number 36, verse number 5. You should tune your brain that way. If someone says the word Govinda, you should tell where it comes in Sahasranamam. Govindo, Govidampatihi, Mahavaraho, Govindo. You should get those 4 places where that Govinda comes. You should also tell what number that Nama is. 231, 453. This is called Avadhanam. Avadhanam is attention. You have to keep listening. You should know. For example, if someone asks, even it is Laukikam, when you learned Pythagoras theorem, what was the third question in that particular chapter? You should be able to tell the answer is on page number 86. When you see something, Acharyas say you have to take a photo with your eyes. That is called Ekasantagrahi. You should not refer to that shloka once again. See, all this is very wishful thinking. But this is how they trained. I'll tell you, in the last 1,000 years in the Islamic invasion, all the libraries were burnt. But how do we read Ramayana today? Because they remembered and retrieved it. They never had scanned copy, photocopy, Xerox copy. Because they said, you burn. How many ever manuscripts you want to burn, you burn. Because Ramayana is here. That manuscript is just a byproduct. It is here. So Vedas were taught that way. See, there is a difference between engineering and Vedas. We often say, people will say, I will give my daughter to an engineer, not a Vedic Pandit. Are you fool? This engineer, I will tell you, I'm an engineer. Pay your condolences to me. I'll tell you how engineering works. First semester, 6 courses. You have to learn, attend classes, give that exam. Forget. Go to the next course. That is why it is called semester. They will not ask you questions in the 7th semester exam from the first semester, because they know surely that you have forgotten. That is why at the end of 8 semesters, you will become a civil engineer constructing one bridge. Look at the plight of that bridge. Whereas in Vedam, first year you learn, second year you should remember what you have learned in the first year. By 8 years, end of 8 years, you should have remembered all the 7 years. That is why you are called a Ganapati. You should not have script in front of you. Sahasra Sirisha, Sahasra Sahasra, Sahasra Shirisha, Sahasra Shirisha, Purusha Purusha, Sahasra Shirisha. You have to keep doing Ganam. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to do Ganam. For the entire Vedas of 8 books, you have to do. What a sadhana it was, what memory power we all relied on. Today, one phone number we are not able to remember. That is the state we are in. See, don't think I'm telling you a negative thing. I'm telling you, is this the way that we are going to proceed? That is why Hayagriva is important. Hayagriva Panjaram. There is a Hayagriva Vimshati done by my Guru's Guru called Ashukavi Srinidhi Swami. He has composed 20 verses. He has composed 11 verses called Sragdhara, Hayagriva Sragdhara. I'll read out one line from my Pracharya's composition on Hayagriva. Agre pashyami teja kimapi hayamukham vardhakam varirashehe vidya rupasya hridyam vishadasha shinabham padmajata abhinandyam shankham chakram cha pustam vivrutirati matim jnana mudram cha lakshmim bibhrajamanam shrutimati mahitam lochanad ekadrishyam. There is another work called Hayagriva Prapatti done by my other Acharya's Guru called Uttamur Swami. Suryodhuna sarasijani vikasya sarvan utpatayan utthapayan nijakarais nirasya abhyudgato dhritanavasara pundarikaha Shivaji Bhaktra Bhagavan stava suprabhatam. There is one work called 50 verses, Hayagriva Panchashat, by a Swami called Seva Swami. There is one, now I am talking largely about Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. In the Madhva Sampradaya, in the Ashtamatas, one of the Acharyas was Vadiraja Swami. There is an anecdote that he used to serve prasadam to Bhagavan. And people did not believe that Bhagavan will come in person and consume the prasadam. So there were a lot of accusations thrown at him. At the same time, there was a lot of jealousy. See, great people we celebrate today. When they lived, nobody celebrated. They were only enemies. So it is said that they mixed some poison, and that day Bhagavan consumed that prasadam, saving his student. It is also said that he was so devoted and loving to Bhagavan that he would keep the prasadam atop his head, and Bhagavan as a Vaji, Shvetavaji, would come and consume it. So he has given us Hayagriva Stuti. Lasadasya Hayagriva, Lasadoshthavyada Vayaruna, Lasadantavali Shobha, Hayagriva Valasmita. Beautiful smile, he says. Horse will smile, for him it smiled. Next. There is one stotram called Sampada Stotram. He says, Hayagriva, Hayagriva, Hayagriveti Yodhvanihi Vishobhate cha Vaikuntha Kavatodghatana Kshamaha. He has composed one Ashtakam. So on Hayagriva itself, there are 50 different works. That Hayagriva who gives us knowledge, who gave knowledge to Vedanta Deshika, to Vadiraja, to Tirumangayalvar, to Yajnavalkya, to Dakshinamurti, to Saraswati, to Vyasa, is the one who has to bless us with good memory. Memory is extremely important. Don't think memory is too trivial. Memory is life. Today we have memories through photos, memories through mobile. But all this has to be within us. And trust me, with whatever little experience I am, to all the elderly people, I may be even less than half your age and experience. I am no one in front of you. But if those of them who are less than the age of 40, 45, how many of you are less than the age of 45? Oh, see, a significant share. I can tell, you can treat me as your friend or brother. My friendly suggestion is, because elderly people, they know what to do. But if you are less than 40, 45 years of age, and if you treat me as your friend, in the next 2 months, you have to learn Hayagriva Stotram. Make it a point. You have to do it. Sir, I work, but you have to learn. You have to fix a timeline for yourself. Then only you will learn. And when you learn, you should not have the script. Reading it like me, what I'm doing is not great. I'm having notes in front of me. If I were to time travel 60 years back, none of the Vidwans of 1960 will call me an Upanyasaka, because an Upanyasaka should not have a script. But given my less memory, I have no other option. I may not be able to by heart all the shlokas. I'm having notes in front of me. A good Upanyasaka should not have anything. If you have to retrieve, there is a great Acharya. I personally revere Brahmashri Sundar Kumar Anna. He has spoken on the stage very many times. He knows the 24,000 verses of Ramayana by heart, 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam by heart, 1,034 verses of Narayaniyam by heart. He knows the Mahabharata shlokas. He doesn't have to carry book. I have requested him, please give a section of your brain to me, so that I too have that memory. Nothing in front of him. If he knows 1 lakh shlokas, I may know 2,000 shlokas by heart. That's all. He is a repository. There are many acharyas like that. There was one Tatacharya Swami in Kanchipuram, a Sri Vaishnava Tatacharya Swami. Till 40 years back, he lived till about 1980. He knew the 1,25,000 shlokas of Mahabharata by heart. Nobody has to buy books. They will go and ask Swami, in Bhishma Parva, he will just think for a second and say, in chapter number 44, verse number 1 to 14 describes it, and he will read out those verses. He doesn't need a book. What a treasure house we had. So my only request is, this is a very rare topic. Hayagriva, only Sri Ramanavami Cultural Festival will ask me to speak. Sridhar Subhashi said, you have to give a different topic. Don't give the same topic. I said Hayagriva. Because generally people in most cities, they will want only Rama and Krishna. Krishna dance, play the flute, Radha will come. We are used only to that. Slightly off the track if we go Hayagriva, sir. With Hayagriva, what will we do, sir? Horse face and all not needed, sir. We want only Krishna playing the flute, Rama shooting at Ravana, Hanuman coming. All that is fine. See, in Sanatana Dharma, no topic is great, no topic is inferior. But there are lesser known topics. In that, Hayagriva is that. Because Dashavatara means we will know only Narasimha, he has to come out of the pillar, all that is fine. But Hayagriva Murti, memory. That is why our Acharyas have not spoken much in the public about him. They have kept him as a secret. See, I have revealed the secret. Now I don't know through YouTube how many else will see it. Hayagriva is a secret pill. They will not reveal it that easily because Hayagriva is for memory. Right? In my school days, when my friends used to ask, have you studied for the exam? You know what I used to say? Hey, I didn't study at all, yeah. So many guests came, so I didn't have time to study. Because we generally Indians believe if we say something, drishti will come. Have you heard of that word drishti? Telugu la enti adi shabdam? Drishti. Tamil la ena drishti. Kannadadalli ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ drishti. In Hindi they say nazar. Nazar utarna. In Pakistan they are doing nazar utarna. Yara vaala badu porama padrantilla. Nazar utarini. Right. So we believe in drishti. So even in school days, I don't know, you may all have been great sadhus, but when my friend used to ask, hey, did you study today's portion? No, I didn't have time. We always want to keep the secret thing within us. That is Bharatiya tradition that comes from Vyasam, Vasishtha, Naptaram inside. So our paddhati is to never reveal things. You know, even in the houses in those days, they used to say, Mantra Rakshana Gudhatma Karya Siddhim Prakashet. Suppose you have a son or daughter and they have given you that rare opportunity to have an arranged marriage. It's a very rare opportunity. Imagine that in your house, by mistake it happens. That arranged marriage. That time what will you do? The girl or the boy, you will see the opposite partner. You will not tell this to any of your family till it attains a certain stage. Have you noticed that? இப்போ என்னத்தை சொல்லாட்டம் அப்புறம் சொல்லிக்கலாம் அப்புறம் நடக்கட்டும் எல்லாம் நடக்கட்டும் சொல்லிக்கலாம். That is very important because Shastram says mantra rakshana gudhatma, like a mantra, that event has to be protected. Karya siddhim prakashayat. You should not give a running commentary. இன்னைக்கு தான் வந்தா பார்த்துட்டு போயிருக்க இப்பதான் போயிருக்க தெருமுனையில போய் திரும்பி இருக்க அவ்வளவுதான் நடக்கவே நடக்காது. You should not tell. You should be very careful. That is why our Acharyas had the greatest secret called Hayagriva pill. They never opened their mouth. They'll keep it quiet within them because that gives you memory. But I have made it a point. We have to give that secret pill today. Our Indian society, Hindu society is already facing challenges. How many more days will we keep this pill with us? We need that pill. We need to get back that memory. Don't rely on books. Imagine you have to recite the 36th Dashaka, 34th Dashaka of Narayanam. You should close that book and recite. You should make it a point. You're learning Narayanam, first Dashakam. Think. Till you get, you should not leave it. What is that 10th shloka? Aishwaryam Shankara Ishwara Viniyamanam. You should get that. You should not leave. You should not have that confidence that you're having the book in your hand. You should do it without it. It will help you in your professional life, personal life. Simple thing. I'll give you an example and as I can do. Net banking. There is a password. Every 3 months it will ask you to change. Have you noticed that? How many of you do net banking? See. It will ask you to change the password. Now here comes the trick. After you give the old password and type the new password, it will say it should not be the last 3 passwords. Have you seen that? Here comes our problem. We have 2 Gmail accounts. We have 1 Facebook account, Twitter account. This, what do we do? Then it will not ask you to give a simple password. Narayana is everything for me. You cannot type that. 1 letter should be a capital letter. The other has to be small. There has to be a special character. It should be a numeric. Ayyo Bhagavan. What do we do now? Now some Brihaspatis will write it down and keep. Now what will happen? That will be stored as an open keypad on your mobile. Now what will happen? That mobile will get lost. So the person who has it will have your net banking and your password. That is why memory is important. See, memory is so important. Nowadays, house, to get inside the house, you have got that pass access, that key. When you go to office, there will be a key. When you go use your ATM card or your credit card, there will be a key there. Then if that is not the work, then there will be an OTP which will come to your phone. And when that OTP comes, remember, you will not be able to remember that 6-digit number in one go. You will keep revisiting it. Let's be honest, how many of you keep revisiting? See? Why? Because we have not trained our memory to remember that. See, 30 years back, my Acharya used to state, this particular bus will come at 8:25, it will come at 9:21, they will remember the timings. Now that has also gone. So please take this as a warning, health warning. We keep checking good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Oh, HbA1c has gone to 8.5. Imagine your HbA1c is 5.3. You don't have sugar. But what is the use when you don't have memory? See, your sugar is low. You can have sugar. For that, you have to remember to eat jangri. See, for to eat jangri also, you need memory. See, some of them will forget that. The next day, somebody would have had, then only you will realize, Putarekulu poindi. Ekkada poindi? Maaku smarana ledu kada. Anduke. So, memory you need for everything. So, for that memory, nobody but Hayagriva. No, sir, Saraswati Devi, great. But she takes charge from Hayagriva. You will go to the distributor directly. If you go to the pharmacist, you will get only 3% discount. Correct. Pharmacy, they will give you some discount. You're going directly to the distributor, manufacturer. So then only sub-stockists come. Dakshinamurti, Saraswati, they all obtain jnana from Hayagriva. So go to the source. Your knowledge will be superior. Your memory will be world class. Forget about the library. Forget about passwords. You will remember everything. With this, all your forthcoming generations will be a bundle house of knowledge. Let's begin this process somewhere. Next 2 months, Hayagriva Stotram. So with this, tomorrow is a known topic. It's a very story-based topic. Today you had philosophy. Tomorrow it's a beautiful story with little philosophy. Vamanavatar. So tomorrow Vamana and Trivikrama will bless us all. I've got another task for you. How many of you know that in our trust we have organized a challenge called Raghuvira Gadyavadhanam? See, many of you know. Vedanta Deshika, the recipient of Hayagriva's grace, has composed Ramayanam in the form of a prose called Raghuvira Gadyam. Kratuhara Shikari Kantuka Vihrutyunmuka Jagaduruntu Hari Danti Danta Dantu Ronta Dashapadana Damana Kushala Dashashata Bujamuka Repaticula Rudira Jara Bharita Prututara Tataka Tatpita Pitrika Brugupati Sugati Vihatikara Nataparudishu Pariga. Doesn't Potana say Kari Makariki Makariki Kari Kari Bedagan, Kari Makariki Makariki Kari Kari. These are all words. So this is Raghuvira Gadyavadhanam. It has 97 passages. Whoever recites this 97 passages without seeing, without any cut, in less than 9 minutes will get 15,000 rupees. Sir, we don't want, sir. We will give you that 15,000. Why do we need, after reciting 97 without seeing in less than 9 minutes, hey, you're giving only 15,000. See, don't see it for the money. Our trust is giving. We are a small trust. We can pay only that much. But take it as a challenge. By April 30th, you should learn all the 97 passages without seeing and give us the video. Do it. See, take everything as a challenge. Work towards it. You will get it. Teach your children and grandchildren all these stotras. Let us make a dharmic Bharat. It is not about voting a political party to power. No. What are you doing to dharma? Voting doesn't make dharma strong. Dharma should make you strong. So for that you have to work. Nothing comes like a cakewalk. Oh, I just heard it yesterday. It was really good to listen. Really good to listen. When will it be good to speak? Learn. You have to spend 2 to 3 hours every day. Reduce your sleep from 8 hours to 6 hours. Reduce your number of idlis from, somebody said, sir, what is the best way to reduce obesity? That mama kept asking. I said, you should eat only once a day. Yogi. Eat only once a day. Eat very little. Focus on what you have to study. Then only our dharma will continue being Sanatana Dharma. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. See you all tomorrow for the last lecture in my series. We have various other programs coming up. Tomorrow will be my last lecture on Vamana Avataram. Hope to see you all soon. Namaskar.